Everyone act natural.
Well, I will start this precisely as the clock turns 2. So we have a few seconds.
You'll probably give it a minute or so to let people filter in, though.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Chris Will. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Solutions here at Haiku. We're excited to have you join us for our first pop-up webinar. We're going to try to keep this brief and informative and leave you time to ask any questions you might have towards the end of the presentation. We would like to get started just by introducing ourselves. I've already introduced myself, Casey Gaska, who's our lead subject matter expert, is joining us. Say hi, Casey.
Hey, everybody.
Kyle Kelly, who's an associate of mine on our sales and marketing team, is joining us as well.
Hello.
And then Aaron Reeve, who's our director of marketing, is joining us as well.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Haiku, and hang on, there we go. We'll talk a little bit about. I knew I skipped a slide. This is very glitchy. Sorry about that. Let's tell you guys a little bit about Haiku. Haiku was founded by Eric Basu, who is a former Navy SEAL, ran a very successful company providing cyber talent in the San Diego area to Navor, and was very frustrated with the level of hands-on skills that his employees had. So he wanted to find a creative way to teach people hands-on skills. He saw that there were lots of cyber ranges out there, and felt that even though those were really good products, that there was definitely a better way to teach hands-on skills that was more intuitive and more engaging. So that's what led to, with his passion for video games, that led to his founding of Haiku as a company. We are the first company that has built video games to teach hands-on cybersecurity skills. We're going to talk a little bit about the platform today and what that looks like. Why are we doing that? Obviously, we have a huge labor shortage in cybersecurity. There's nearly 500,000 job openings in the US alone, nearly 3.5 million worldwide. Any of you who are obviously involved in teaching in this field are aware of these shortages and what they mean. Also, there's obviously, a huge disconnect between what employers think they're looking for, as well as the skills that people need to have to be successful on the job. One of the aspects of our solution that I think is really interesting, and I'll share with everybody, is that even though women make up 24% of the cyber workforce, actually 60% of women are role-playing gamers. So that is, or 60% of role-playing gamers are women. How's that? Maybe I'll correct that statement. Sorry. But this is one of the reasons NIST has listed us as a resource under diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of the reasons, this platform is so exciting and so engaging. One of the other things I like to talk about gaming and why it's such an effective learning medium is that getting into a flow state in a game is a very easy thing to do. You can engage very quickly in a video game and learn things that you otherwise would take you, 10,000 hours to learn. I mean, learning how to ski right down a mountain. We're teaching you cybersecurity skills in a game, engaging you in a flow state. And a 10-year study by McKinsey and Company basically indicated that if you're in a flow state, you're likely to retain knowledge at up to a 500% rate over standard learning modalities. So we think our game is pretty effective in driving skills retention. All right. Today we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about how we drive self-directed learning. Casey will talk about our platform. We're going to talk about our development platform, Forge. Casey will go into that as well. And we're going to show how we map to this nice framework and give users a skills resume that they can use and present to employers upon working their way through the game and as they interview for jobs. All right, I'm going to stop my share and let Casey take over.
Perfect. Give 2 seconds to get this up and running. We do not want sound shared. All right, you all can see my screen now, I'm assuming. Okay, so this is Haiku Online, formerly World of Haiku. Then this here's the main menu. Within the main menu, we're going to focus on Forge. So Forge is a platform that our dev team actually created internally to help our dev team more quickly build missions and ranges and networks for the storyline of the game. We thought it was such an awesome platform that we decided to make it user facing. And so with that, we allow users to be able to create custom missions based on custom networks. And so we'll go ahead and go into one of them here. Just to give a little lay of the land. So here you can see we have an awesome visual network diagram. And we have different devices here. And these devices are not just images, not just cool looking. They're actually individual objects within the game that have properties and functions, which allows us to drag and drop and quickly build unique networks. So we have firewall, workstation, gateway, router. So let's go ahead and look at all the available devices we have to work with. We have switches, routers, different various servers, workstations, and PLCs. And then with that, it's really easy to just quickly build a network together. So let's go, we got the switch. Let's go ahead and throw a couple servers out here. And then just connect them. And this isn't just a visual connection, it's actually a logical connection within the game that connects these objects together. When we go into properties, click on any of the objects here, we can see the device type, which we can actually change, and it will change the overall object itself, as well as the properties associated to be relevant to that device type. We can toggle what's discovered on start. Once you start a mission, we can change things like the name and host name, OS name and version. These are great because they show up this way in scans. It doesn't change the functionality of the devices, but it does change what shows up during scans. We can add different usernames, so you can add multiple users, as well as within each device, you can change different levels of access for files and folders that are on the devices. So then you actually can have an element of privilege escalation within a device. And then we have different services that we can make available. And there's a full list of services here, all the ones that you would expect to see. And one of the really cool things that I like about this is the web server here. We can actually make it an actual web server. So if we go back here and look at our devices, look at files, if we were to open up the file explorer here, we can create a new folder and make it a web root folder. That then makes this web server an actual viable web server within the game. So we have a browser built in, and if you go to the web browser and enter the IP address of this web server, you'll be faced with whatever static web page you create. So you can create static web pages using basic HTML to be able to access and improve the functionality of whatever you're building, which I think is really awesome. Being able to create custom web pages within a game is just an awesome feature. So with this, and I can talk for forever on all the different functionality with Forge, but one of the things I want to bring up is how awesome it is and how quickly it allows a standard user to build training and build networks. And the stats that we have around it is that it allows a user to create essentially a cyber range in 1/10 the time at about a 20th the cost of a standard cyber range, because it's drag and drop and it doesn't require any special developers to do it. Anyone can do it. Students can do it. And honestly, that's one of the things that I talk about a lot with educators is you can have this be an assignment, a weekly or monthly assignment, or even a final exam. Have them build a network using all of what they've learned throughout the course, and then we can publish it. You can publish it internally with your teammates, with your students. You can publish it to each other to have everyone play it. So you can have your entire class publish missions and challenges weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever, that then you can challenge each other and really see what the students have learned by what they are able to accomplish. And then
Casey, I'm just gonna interrupt right here.
Yeah, go for it.
Richard had a couple questions.
Mhm.
So his first question was, does this support prep for certification in the industry?
Okay.
And kind of a follow-up question, do you supply curriculum with the platform? So I guess take this one at a time.
Okay. So as for certification prep, I have a team of content developers that is actually our task. We are creating content within the Forge platform that does align with the objectives for the common certifications out there. All of the entry-level certifications that you would expect, we're working on training content that aligns to those objectives. And then we do not currently provide curriculum, but with the certification learning paths that my team is putting together, it covers everything, start to finish, storyline, objectives, quizzes, all built in within the Forge content that we're creating and the training path. So I hope that answers your question.
Casey, let me interject just because
Go for it.
I'm the old college textbook publisher here. So what I will say is this: as we put together training paths for various certifications and various job roles, you will basically be able to deliver this class without a textbook, perhaps without your virtual labs. You should be able to deliver everything in the game-based learning environment, and basically play a mentoring role with your students, maybe supplementing your class with lectures, of course, but really playing a mentoring role here with the materials that we're building. And the beautiful thing here is that Casey's about to show you is the mission steps editor, which actually now lets you, now that you've built networks, you can actually build out an actual game experience around a network. And this is really the special sauce, when you say, Casey.
Yes. Yeah, this is what sets us apart from a traditional cyber range, because most cyber ranges, you just have access to a network. Well, with Haiku and with the Forge platform especially, we can build in interaction. We have these non-player characters, as they're called, in the game that interact with you through an in-game chat platform that guides you along, and that's what we actually use to do the knowledge to enter in the knowledge-based learning and to step a user through the learning process. So here I'll go ahead and we can see it's a Nitro app. So it's first thing you need to do, this is the message that will show up to the user when they get to this step on their messaging platform, on their messaging app. So then it tells you, okay, go ahead and type ls and hit enter in the CLI. And so the user will do that. Once they do that, it moves into the next thought. And this is the required goal that says we need you to type ls in order to move to the next step of the storyline. And with this, we're able to do all kinds of, like I said, knowledge based, not just technical, not just hands-on, but we can teach the CIA triad through this platform because it doesn't, we have that ability to share the text form as well. That isn't just your standard reading a textbook, reading a PDF, watching a video on it. You're interacting with a character in a game to learn it. And then on top of that, we can go next step and take the CIA triad and then provide examples, hands-on keyboard examples of what that actually means and what it actually means to not have confidentiality or availability.
Casey,
So we got another question.
Casey, what I would like to do is, can we go to the core game so people can see it? The Forge capability is incredible, and I think there will be lots of people to take advantage of it. But out of the box, you know, the game is very powerful. Maybe to mission 3A or something like that. We can show folks what that looks like.
Certainly. I saw we had 2 questions pop up. So
Sure.
Kyle, can you read those off for me, please?
Yep, I got you right here. Both from Richard again. So he was just I guess following up on what he was saying. He said, so NPC as a tutor / textbook support.
Yes.
Which
That's a good way to think about it, Richard. Absolutely.
Yeah, in tandem with the curriculum. And then he also said, you supply training either live or through video library. The content seems to have potential, but it is all in the execution and the expertise of the facilitator as they guide the students.
Yeah, especially in the build. If you're building in Forge, I would say that's a very true statement. You have to know what you're doing, right? Like in order to build effectively here, and that's why it's such a powerful tool for students to work through as a project when they're wrapping up a class to demonstrate their mastery of the content that they're learning in any particular class. But I like mission 3 here, Casey. If you can pull that up and maybe even pull up the Dojo so we can talk about these features, because I think they're really, really powerful. There's 2 aspects to this that I really like. One is, as you enter the mission, you can see how we align to all the different nice tasks. If you play through the entire game, how many Linux commands, for example, are you learning in the core game, Casey? I think it's over 50, isn't it?
Oh, geez. Honestly, I've never actually counted.
It's a lot. Yeah, no,
it's all the basic Linux navigation commands up through learning the basics of Nmap and John and Hydra. And I mean, yeah.
So one of the biases we had in developing the core game was that we wanted to demonstrate that you could teach some of the most difficult hands-on keyboarding skills using an interactive game. And this is what the user interface looks like. You'll see that you've got a Linux command line terminal on the right-hand side, and you have Rascal, your NPC, communicating with you, setting up a scenario, and working you through how to start addressing that scenario.
Yeah, so with this, we have a note platform within the game, which one of the things I harp on all the time when I'm streaming about the game and playing through and teaching people is we included this notes functionality because as a practitioner, well done notes, well taken notes are super important. And you actually will find in the game that if you don't take notes, you're going to get stuck. And so let's go ahead, and they're looking for this. So then here's the hands-on keyboard part. We're going to ping And then here you can see it actually shifted over to, which one was it this one? Yeah. It shifted over to the device that we actually pinged. And we have this hover over. When you click on a device, it actually copies the IP address to your clipboard, so that way you can just paste it into the terminal. So now we're talking about ifconfig and nmap, and we're going to have the user go ahead and run. We're on this box now. We auto-magically SSH'd onto it as part of the storyline because we don't teach SSH in this portion. We teach it later. And so now we're going to ifconfig. It says, oh, goal complete. So then we're going to teach now about netmask and IP addresses and network addresses. And which also then brings in part of the manual, which is, let's see, is it networking? Maybe it doesn't introduce it yet. Got ahead of myself. We have a table included in that shows all of the subnet masks and in both forms. And so that's something that I always appreciate.
Casey, Richard just had a comment. He said, interesting, you're stressing of Linux. That is one issue I had with CyberStart America. I've not had much success with their Linux-based challenges. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Linux, understanding Linux is so important for this field and for any field in technology or engineering, because, I mean, what is it? 90% of the internet runs on Linux. And it's just so much of what you're interacting with is in some way related to Linux. And so nmap. So even if you aren't going into security, just having a base foundation of Linux and command line is really important. I actually had we did an event the other day, and just a programmer came up and was like, wow, that's awesome. I have never seen a Linux command line taught this way. I love a good command line interface teaching mechanism like this. So then we ran nmap on the whole network, and we get the whole shebang. I'll go ahead and run. One of the things that's fun is we have the man command in here to run man nmap. And unlike in a real Linux environment, when you run man nmap, you get a ton of pages, every single potential option and what it does and why, and all the scripts involved as well, which someone learning doesn't need to know all that. Someone learning needs to know the basic arguments here that they need to put, the basic flags. And so that's what we have pared it down to, the stuff that you're going to use most often.
And I think what I should emphasize to everybody, if it's not clear, is that this is a simulation. This is not, we're not using there's no AWS or Google backend, and we're not using virtual machines. This is all a simulation. What we do have is we've got another product, which I don't think I want to spend time on today because we have such a limited amount of time, but we might have another pop-up webinar on what we call Haiku Pro, which is where we actually then put you into a range environment. And I think of this as bowling with bumpers. And then our range environment, our Haiku Pro product, is really where we, where we let you loose into actual virtual machines and teach you missions there. So the missions in this game, the missions in that game build on the missions in this game, and really expand the user's skill set. But the core game here is all based on, this is all a simulation, built into Unity game engine.
Yeah. And here you'll see this is the first time. So up until this point in the game, the user is strictly navigating through command line. We think it's important to instill that first, because I mean, I've seen it happen all the time. I do it all the time. If it's a GUI interface, I can fumble my way around it even if I don't know specifically how it works, because there's toolbars that you hover over it and it kind of gives you an explanation of what that does, what those buttons do, whereas command line isn't like that. So we wanted to instill those foundations first before introducing the first GUI portion. So we have the actual file explorer here we can interact with. And I mean, it's a full simulated file explorer. You can add a new file because we have access to this device. We can add a new folder. We could open, we could delete it. We could rename it or copy it. All kinds of things that we could actually do. But you see, I just went into documents. Over here in the terminal, we still put the command that is accomplished on the back end. So that way the user then is still having that solidified. And so then we have, and then cat, the file, here it is, as well as here in the text editor or file editor.
Just wanted to give a 5-minute warning, guys.
Yeah, so one of the things I do want to emphasize for folks that were asking about curriculum, we are building out curriculum specifically for Security Plus. We have curriculum that aligns really well with Certified Ethical Hacker. Then we also lined up a curriculum to 3 job roles as defined by NICE. I think it's vulnerability assessment, certified ethical hacking, and Casey, you're gonna have to give me the last one.
Defense analysis.
Cyber defense analyst, yes, of course. So those are 3 job roles that we align to with our training and map all the missions and activities in here. I'd love to show you guys a dojo, but I don't know if we're gonna have time for that, Casey. I know we're running short on time here. I didn't want to take people's time unnecessarily. I know we promised everybody this would take 30 minutes. What I will say is if we don't have time to show you a dojo, we are more than happy to provide you any and all other information. Actually, if you want to jump into a dojo,
Yep.
Casey, just explain what we're doing in dojos.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, so dojos stemmed out of the concept of replayable missions, daily missions. If you play any kind of MMOs, there's always daily missions. Eric talks about how he plays Destiny and there are daily missions in there. I play other games where they have the daily missions that you can just replay and keep getting new and better loot every time you go. And so this is that same concept of it's a replayable short 15-minute or so mission that it has dynamically generated flags. So that way you're not hitting the same flags every single time. And it pops you into a network, a randomized network with randomized flags to teach and solidify a specific skill. So this one is our Nmap dojo. And so the point here is to practice your Nmap skills. And I mean, anybody who's spent any time doing any engagement knows that you use Nmap a whopping few times in an engagement. And so there's a lot of people who don't ever end up getting muscle memory on flags and the arguments that you use. I know when I'm going through and practicing, I still always have an Nmap cheat sheet just because it's quick reference and it's much faster than trying to navigate through the man file of Nmap. But this actually allows you to practice those flags because you're using the various different flags and arguments within Nmap to complete this dojo. I see we got another question.
Says if they want more information, how do they learn more? How do they sign up? What would be, I guess probably Chris, what would be if they wanted more information?
I'm going to put my email address in here, probably the easiest way for now, and then reach out to me at Chris at haikuinc.io or Jennifer Kelly, Jennifer at haikuinc.io, and I've shared that. Hang on, make sure I didn't misspell it while I'm typing here. And what I can do is actually I can share my screen again and I can share that information with you guys real quick. So let me share my screen.
Thanks, Casey.
Yep.
Great. So yeah, here's our contact information. Either myself or Jen, feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we'll be happy to get you more information. Perhaps even get you demo access, give you the opportunity to play the game yourself, see how it fits into what your curriculum objectives are, and see if we can, get serious games into your curriculum. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're going to try to stay right here on time. It is 2:30. But of course, like I said, please reach out to us. We will be happy to share more information with you. And we really appreciate your time today, especially on such short notice. Thank you so much.
Hmm.